Hello, and a very big thank you to everyone who has joined our webinar today. This is the second in our series looking at India's e-commerce market and how you can get your brand into India. We have an excellent lineup of industry experts with us who will cover the scale of opportunity that India e-commerce presents, as well as how the UK India Business Council, together with our partners, can support your India launch. I just have a few notes to highlight before we begin. Firstly, we would love to hear your thoughts and comments during today's session. If you have any questions or comments for our speakers, please submit these using your control panel, and we will pick them up in our Q&A segment. Secondly, if you are on social media, please do follow us on Twitter and LinkedIn. You'll be able to see all our social media handles on your screen now. And finally, this is to let you know that we will share a copy of the recording with everyone who has joined today. Now, without further ado, please allow me to introduce our first guest. Niharika Rohella is Key Management Personnel for Product and Tech at ClickOnCare India. She spearheads strategic initiatives across industries and drives growth across the product and tech domains. She also has over a decade of experience in dealing with businesses based out of the United States and India. Niharika, look forward to your presentation.
Well, thanks a lot for that lovely introduction, Daxa. Hi, everyone. I'm Niharika. So as Daksha mentioned, I am leading the product and strategy and the tech domain in ClickOnCare. And today with this webinar, we're just going to talk about the e-commerce opportunities that Indian industry has for all the UK brands to set up their shop in India. So let's get started. All right. So a little bit about India, the India economy, and the market, the e-commerce, the big words. So India being one of the largest countries in the world, we are actually the 6th largest by the economy. When you count on the GDP of our country, and we've established a strong third position when you talk about purchasing power parity of the Indians that are available in India and globally. I think the first being is China and the second being in US. And this is just going on and increasing as we talk about on day-on-day basis. And this has led to India becoming the 8th largest e-commerce market. If you move on to the next slide. Thank you. All right, so talking about a little bit on the numbers front, back in 2017, the value of e-commerce market in India was about $38.5 billion. Now this is expected to grow at a CAGR of 23% to around $200 billion by 2025, and we're not far away. And there are several initiatives that the Indian government has taken to boost this number. First being, opening up our Indian market to the foreign direct investments. Earlier it was about 50 to 51%. Now it has been shot up to about, or say up to 100%. Now this will get in more brands, more investors in Indian market, opening up more options for the Indians and the customers that we have in India. The other really great development that we all are looking forward to is the introduction of 5th generation mobile networks. Government is pushing this, and we expect it to have that established by 2022. This is going to give more exposure to the remotest part of India's rural towns, all those places where connectivity is an issue. This will give access to those people to access internet and order their, and explore the e-commerce market that's available to them. So moving on. Thank you. Now, majorly talking about our segments, we guys are into the cosmeceutical, dermaceutical, and nutraceutical domain. And again, looking at 2025 as your placeholder year, there is an expected growth of 25%, 20%, and 9% respectively expected across all these domains. Now, the dietary supplements segment that constitutes about 65% of nutraceutical market is also growing at a very good pace. I would say 17% is something that we saw this year, and it is expected to increase by 22% in next year. And this is basically in the preventive health domain that is prevalent more in the pandemic phase that we have right now. So there's a good growth. There's there's a good opportunity of personal care, beauty, wellness, everything coming in. Moving on. Now, a little bit about ClickOnCare. We guys are a multi-brand e-commerce platform. We had our humble beginnings in 2013, and we are headquartered at Bangalore. That's a state in South India. Now, we also are present across 70 countries globally, and we cover each and every city, all the tiers of the city in India as well. How we place ourselves, we call ourselves as the largest multi-store brand that is basically leading in the cosmeceutical, dermaceutical, and nutraceutical segment in e-commerce. And what we do is we aim at making wellness and personal care aspirational and available to everyone all across. That's a little bit about us. Moving on to our segments. Now, as I mentioned, we broadly categorize ourselves into skincare, hair care, and nutrition. That's broad categories. Our segments consist of dermaceuticals and cosmeceutical product ranges. We are majorly into nutraceuticals, and we are growing in our wellness domain as well. That comprises of healthcare devices, kits, aids, and everything that has anything to do with new age health tech. Moving on to the next one. Thank you. So when we talk about bridging the gap, this is how we ensure, I'll quickly touch upon, how we basically ensure how a brand who's coming in India or is new in the market reaches its right target audience, the group that we target. So the first two sections that you see are the major health major concerns that the e-commerce market faces in personal care segment. There's a lot of discounting that happens sometimes. Just to push out a product. The market is scattered with availability, regional availability of some products being on, some products not being on, and of course the user is left confused. At the end of the day, there is a decision dilemma that he has to make if he should be switching from something that he's been using for 13 to 14 years to something that's new, probably safer, probably not, we don't know. So ClickOnCare comes in there to bridge this gap. How we work is we have a personal touch. We educate our customers and make them aware of whatever solutions we have to offer for them and what is the right fit for them. Now, this education, this awareness eventually leads to generation of demand by gaining their trust. That basically translates to sale on our platform. So that is how we operate majorly. If you go on to the next slide, we would have a little bit of snapshot of 2020-21 for ClickOnCare. So when you look at ClickOnCare, how we did in the pandemic year, as we call it, that is 2020-21, we did a sizable amount of business. We were active with 900 brands. That's ever growing. I think we've added 200 to 300 more brands to our kitty there. We shipped across 70 countries the last year with an average ticket size of 2,600. That kind of translates to $35 per order. We have 8,000 listed SKUs. Now, when you talk about these 8,000 listed SKUs, each and every SKU is not a mere listing. It has its own place. It has its own purpose that it caters to for the customers who look at that product. We'll briefly probably touch upon that aspect as well. So moving on to why us. These are 5 major pointers that I would like to probably talk about. This is where we specialize, and this is why I would say why you go with us. The first is the accessibility. We cover every nook and corner of the country. We have about 60,000 pin codes that we cover in India. We've served our customers in the remotest high altitude regions, anywhere and everywhere you want to order. And if you have the accessibility to internet or a phone call, we are there to deliver your order. Then talking about the personalized experience, we still believe in the fact that human touch is the best touch that you can probably provide a customer in a service industry. So rather than relying heavily on our chatbots. The AI is still in learning phase. We work with our massive team of customer support specialists, product specialists who engage with customers on daily basis, 8 to 10 hours every day, to answer to their queries, to answer their questions, educate them, point them to the right direction, cross-sell, upsell, and all of that. Now, the third one is another important aspect. This is related to our customer due diligence that we do and the brand due diligence that we work on. Now, we have a whole compliance team that is set up to look at each and every product that we onboard for its genuinity, for its certifications, and this helps the brand and it helps the customer as well. How it helps the brand? There have been brands who've approached us for listing, for going live with us, and there were certain certificates that were missing. We brought that out to the notice. They took a month again, went back, got the right certificates, and came back online, and that secured them as well. At the same time, how a customer benefits is, it's basically, a customer can blindly buy anything that is procured and is listed on our platform, because everything that comes is directly procured from the brand. It has all the right certifications in place, all the right, licenses in place to make that sale happen. Now, the fourth and the fifth point are the compliant advertising standards that we follow and the customer insight and sentiments that we look at. I'll briefly touch upon both of these together. Now, we've been in the market for 8 years, and we are well aware of the customer sentiments, what they look out for, what they want, what would offend them, what would make them happy. That's our study. That's how we're backed with data. So we know what works with our Indian customer. There is a wedding season, we know what to push for the family, for the parents, for the bride, for the groom. So all of that is kept in mind when we are marketing. Very fair example, you cannot talk about fairness in India. It's a taboo. So we don't do that. I mean, there are platforms that do that. We don't do that. So we follow all those compliance standards that do not offend a customer who sees our ad and drive them away. So everything is more inviting, more compliant, and I would say more considerate. Yep. So let's move on to the next portion that talks about how we add value to the e-commerce market. And I think I've touched upon these pointers, but I'll quickly go over them again. So the first point from the previous slide was accessibility. Now, how does that help? It brings in exposure to our audiences. It also serves the aspiration of a lot of people. Now, again, why have something that's available in a tier 1 city or a metro not be available to someone from a tier 4 town? So we make that happen. We have global reach of these products in the smallest nook and corners of the country. That's where we help customers with their aspirations. If they want to use something, we make them available. We make that available for them. The other way around here is the native brands. We give a platform, a global platform, to the native new budding brands that are coming up with all the support they need, be it international brands or the native brands in India. Again, there might be a particular product, and this is from a personal case study that we drove on this ingredient that's called asparagus racemosses. It's shatavari in India. It's a herb. Now, this herb is produced in a specific small town in a state called Chhattisgarh. Okay, and it's well known for that. Now, one of our ingredients uses that particular ingredient in their product. Now, how do you make sure that not only the people from that city or that town are benefited from that, from the goodness of those herbs? We make that brand available, and now that brand, is available globally. We've been shipping that across, and this is one of the new collaborations, and we've been shipping that across globally. So that is bringing the benefit of a local herb to a global stage, and that's where we come in. And again, talking about availability, we are easily accessible, with the new age approaches of web, mobile sites, applications on Android and iOS, and of course we have all call assistance as well. People can directly call our product specialist or customer care with any queries, and we help them place their order online on phone as well. We have multiple payment options that helps the customer as well. We have tie-ups with all the latest wallets. We support online payments. We have cash and delivery options for our customers as well. So that's where we come in, bringing our value to the e-commerce market. Moving on to the value we add to our shoppers. Thank you. All right, so how do we help shoppers? I know we've talked a lot about the brand getting benefit, the market getting benefit, the customers getting benefit. But each and every, now the customers who come to our website do come for browsing, casual browsing, but I'm assuring you that every product that we have has some of the other benefit that the customer would get out of the product they purchase from here. The other very important part that we take in pride is, the on-site shopping experience. If you visit the ClickOnCare website, you would see it's a very clean, very neat on-site experience that we have. We do not believe in advertising on our platform. We don't do that. It's zero distraction, very clean shopping experience, very point on with the right set of information that the customer can look at. And of course, if they're not happy, they're not satisfied with any of the information that's present, they have an option of picking up their phone, calling our support services, and getting the right answers, be it on the batch inquiry, the certificates that we have, the expiry, anything. So all of those pointers, I think, add value to a customer experience that we try and offer. So moving on to the seamless shopping experience, just another addition here. So this is a tiny screenshot that you see of our website. This is a very loose search, I would say. It's a very broad search that a customer made on skin supplements, and the results that it shows is about 150 skin supplements. But I'll show you each and every product that is listed in this search is specific to a skin supplement. It's an oral supplement that works on some of the other concern. It could be a collagen-based supplement. It could be spirulina, anything that benefits your skin. So everything that you see is very to the point with no distractions. You have the margins set up for prices. If someone is specifically looking for some brands, they can filter it out and all of that. So, this kind of a search experience also gives exposure to new brands. So a customer might not know an ABC brand that's onboarded. It's a new brand that's budding. It's a new brand from, say, United Kingdom that's come on board. But if they look for a concern, they might look for something which is soap-free face wash. They would see that brand listed and they would be compelled to try it out. So that's how we work. And everything that we have here is very optimized, as I mentioned. There are a lot of EAN numbers, GTNs that we need to have these products listed, and everything is optimized as per the Google and the Bing search engine norms. So you would see everything to the point with very less irrelevant information. So moving on to how we add value to our brand partners. This is majorly to any brand that comes on board, any strategic tie-up that we have with any brand. So as I said, we guys are a perfect launchpad for the new age brands, the budding brands, for traditional old brands. Every kind of a brand is a perfect fit for us, and we do our thorough research for that as well. The other portion is the brand awareness. Now, how do we help with the brand awareness portion? We work extensively on, marketing and creating content that's very relevant to that particular brand and pushing it out on various channels. We have blogs, we have, influencers coming in, we have celebrities sending out their testimonies, we have real-time customer testimonies and feedback recorded as well. And this content is just amplified to reach out to the right target audience. That's how we work. The other thing that we try and do is make the brand or make that product synonymous to the brand. I don't really have an example that would be relevant in the United Kingdom market, but here we have something called Heinz. It's a ketchup, and in my home, when we talk about a ketchup, we just say Heinz or Maggie ketchup. We don't say tomato ketchup. So that's how we make the product synonymous to the brand, right? I know there would be pretty lot of local examples for you as well. I hope you can relate to that. So we try and work on that kind of a correlation. If there's a health tonic and there's a ABC brand, we try and tag that ABC brand's growth, the trend, with the product itself. So that's how we work. Then of course, we are present across multiple social channels. We have a good following of about 0.68 million users on YouTube who consume our content. We are present across Twitter, Instagram, and all of those social channels where we try and drive awareness as well. So that is about brand awareness. Now, how do we create value for the brand itself? Now, with a lot of strategic tie-ups that we have with pharma companies and brands that we have onboarded, we work directly with the sales and their product development team at a lot of given points. We work with, remodeling remodeling their logo, their design, their PR. We've also worked on repackaging their products based on our customer feedback because we are the interface that talks directly to the customer. So we know how the customer is interpreting things, how the customer is consuming it. So if there is any issue with anything, say for example a corkscrew that's on the top of some bottle and it's not working out for everyone, or it's reaching to the customer in a damaged form, we work on getting that repackaged as well. So that's just one of those aspects where we add value to the brand, helping them establish their footholding in the market. So there's another attribute, of course, if we move on to the next slide. Demand creation and structured trend creation. I'll try and take these two together. Now, I did mention a lot of times that we work on educating our customers and trying to set up a synonym product name and the product name being synonymous, or the ingredient name being synonymous to the brand. So I'll take a good example here. Glutathione back in 2018, 2019 was not so well known in India. The only consumers were the ones that would visit a derma care clinic and get an intravenous shot of glutathione. There was no concept of oral or nasal glutathione in the country. There was a pharma company that came to us. They branded themselves as Gluton, and we started working with them. And with these 2 years that we've set up, if you see, the trend has been established so much, the demand has been created in such a manner that now people associate glutathione, which is an ingredient that's widely available in a lot of products and brands, only with gluton. So you would see people trying to search for gluton instead of glutathione. They would search for gluton supplements. So that's how the brand comes in, and they've tried to mirror themselves with the ingredient. That's again, consuming Indian market is very fast in consuming content. So everything that we roll out in form of education is consumed directly by our customers, and that's how demand is created. We create a stickiness because now the customer is educated on the brand. He knows the benefit of the brand that he's consuming, and that's where the loyalty factor comes in, and the stickiness comes in, and a repeat purchase and retention comes in. So that's how we work, and we kind of play a role in creating that kind of demand and trend. And I have a little bit more about the trend. This is a case study again for one of our brands. If you move on to the next slide, Emma. Thank you. So there are a few trends that I would like to show you here. Now, the blue peaks that you see are actually, these blue spikes that you see are the times when the pandemic had hit us really hard in India. So the first one was sometime in March. The other one was in June, July, when we were entering in a nationwide lockdown. And the third phase was recently, when we had the second wave. It was terrible, but that's where these spikes came, and these were totally out of our hand. These are not controlled attributes. Now, these spikes are the ones that saw a query trend of immunity boosters in the market. We tapped to it, we analyzed this, we found these trends growing in the market. And then with our brands that were probably in skin supplement, just an example here, the maroon line that you see that has picked up traction towards the middle of May, that's where we started marketing these skin supplements which had immunity booster aspect in them as well. So we started marketing, we remodeled our marketing plan to start showing these skin supplements as immunity boosters, which actually was their byproduct, but no one was interested until the pandemic hit us. So we started marketing them in a right manner, and that's where you saw the traction picking up in the skin supplement segment because they were being marketed as immunity boosters. So, and these are the studies that we do for brands, we do for our tie-ups, and help them grow. And that's how we work. And there's another example that I would like to bring on. There was another brand that was in the Nutra segment, and they were majorly into effervescent tablets and the tablets that you would take with water to just swallow. We received a lot of customer feedback on the convenience aspect. So we recommended them to come up with something that's mouth dissolvable, and they've recently launched a mouth dissolvable strip of the same supplement that does the same thing, has the same benefits, and it's something that you can have on the go. It can be in your pocket all the time. You don't need water along with it, and that's doing fairly well in the immunity booster segment. So those are the value adds that we come up with our studies. So moving on, I think I'm done with the heavy content here. So moving on to the side screens, this is a brief screenshot, of our homepage and our product page with all the details there for the customer. Do take some time and visit our website. I hope you would like it. So this is how our screen looks. And coming to the brand portfolio, we have, if you can move on to the next slide, Emma. Thank you. So these are some of the brands that I thought would look nice here on the larger scale. These are just a handful of some brands that we work with and we've been in collaboration with for over 8 years now. Moving on again, this is the Logistic Partners. So we have a lot of logistic partners who help us reach our customers, across the country, across the globe. We have a lot of hyper-local delivery partners as well that deliver within the city, say within 5 hours to 24 hours of a customer placing their order. So we work at global scale, we work at pan-India scale, and then we work at hyper-local scale as well. So that is about us, and I hope that helped. And I think I'm good now. So Daksha, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Niharika. That was really an excellent overview. Thank you. Lots of information in there. And again, if any of our viewers have any questions for Niharika, please do send these through and we'll pick them up in our Q&A session. And I would now like to invite our guest from Scale Global. So here today is co-founder and CTO, Kiran Kumar Kolisetty. At Scale Global, Kiran helps global brands and leading manufacturers in expanding their global footprint through strategic e-commerce solutions across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa. And joining Kiran today is his colleague, CEO and co-founder, Imtiaz Ibrahim. His role at the firm includes accelerating brands' e-commerce digital transformation by providing sustainable value chain through integrated technology, marketing, and supply chain expertise to discover and cater their global consumers. So Kiran and Imtiaz, over to you, please.
Thank you, Daksha. Hello, everyone. My name is Imtiaz. We are a global e-commerce enabler. We help brands to reach to their target audience locally or cross-border online markets. We help them with e-commerce consulting, platform development, digital marketing, online store operations, shopper support, and fulfillment and logistics. Technically, we provide them an end-to-end customized e-commerce solution so that it is faster and easier for them to access their target audience in the local and cross-border online markets. Moving on. Now, I would like to give a quick snapshot on how India is staging itself to get ready for the biggest big bang of e-commerce in India. Now, as you know that India is one of the biggest populated nation. It is currently at 1.38 billion in terms of population. And the internet penetration as of today is standing at 29%, which is quite a drastic amount compared to the population what India has today. But on the other hand, it is also kind of growing at a compound annual growth rate of 7% to reach to up to 39% of internet penetration, which is going to be huge in the next 5 years. Now, as a retail business, India is today at $651 billion, reaching to almost $925 billion over a period of next 5 years. And along with that, the e-commerce business is also kind of going to accelerate with the growth of retail business, I would say. So e-commerce business at a B2C level is standing at $43 billion, and we are expecting it to grow at a compound annual growth rate of 20% and to reach $108 billion. So all in all, India is a booming market, and I feel that this is the right time for any brand to get into the market and get onto the wave of the growth, what it will bring in the next 5 years. Now, what you can see in this slide is a snapshot of some of the biggest categories in India in terms of retail and e-commerce. So apparel and footwear is definitely one of the biggest category, which is at $46.9 billion at all retail, whereas the e-commerce is standing at $7.8 billion. Again, what is interesting to look at is the growth rate, which is going to bring in the next 5 years. So fashion at the rate of 19.1% to reach to $18.7 billion by 2025. The second biggest category I would say is the health and beauty category, where it's standing at $24.6 billion at retail to reach to $32.5 billion in 2025. Again, so all in all, the retail category growth size, if you see, it's more or like at the range of 5 to 12% growth rate in each and every category. But whereas compared to e-commerce growth rate, it is going to grow at probably at the double the speed of or triple the speed of retail business itself. So that's one of the key factors which we need to consider as a brand here. Moving on. Now, to talk about the current consumer insight and the market trend in terms of how the consumers are behaving today, I would like to call on my partner Kiran to take you through further on the current aspects of consumer insights. Kiran, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Imtiaz. So as Imtiaz and Niharika has already talked about the kind of opportunity we are looking at in India, I would get on to giving you more in understanding in terms of how the market is and how the consumer behavior is in the country. Some of the key trends, if you have to look at, one major change or one major growth is coming in terms of the average number of users adding on to internet. That's 40 million people every year. And consumption at a month level is about 8 GB on an average per user in terms of the mobile data. So this kind of gives you an idea in terms of the amount of consumption happening in the country. And now if I look at the key trends, one major trend is Bharat going online. When I say Bharat, we're talking about, let's say, the tier 3, tier 4 cities in the country, which has just started picking up on e-com. So technically, the major market is just coming online for e-com, right? And then the other important aspect is on the overall omnichannel approach. As a market, and especially after the pandemic, the way consumers are making the buying decisions has definitely impacted, and on omnichannel kind of is becoming more relevant in the country at the moment. The third important is on the localization. Again, as you know, India is a market with a lot of different cultures, different languages. All the platforms, brands, everyone is adapting to the local market reality, especially on the language front. And this is driving the major traffic from the tier 3, tier 4 cities as well. Again, the data consumption, which I was talking earlier about, 8 GB per month, that is primarily a reason of video content, where a majority of Indians are now on video content, and there is a lot of search that is happening on video session. Right. Daxa, do you want to move on? Perfect. A bit on the overall demographics as such. Again, if I'm just benchmarking it with UK. India as a country has about 1.4 billion population, and the median age, if you look at it, is about 27.9 years. So it's a young target audience that you're targeting. And from a language perspective, India's again, the primary language is Hindi. That's about 39.21% of the population speak the language, and English, that's about 18.49%. So technically, even if a brand is looking at English as a medium to communicate with the audience over here, you still have got about 400 million audience that you're looking at, right? Moving on. Now, as I was talking about the median age being 27.9, this is also clearly visible in terms of how millennials have taken over the entire e-com opportunity. If I'm talking about, let's say, the number of users, in 2015, there were about 167 million data users, which is expected to grow to about 850 million data users by 2025. And if you're talking about the spending capacity, from 2015, where they were spending about $250, now expected to grow to about $940. So, and the overall increase in millennials, especially on the modern workforce, that has led to a huge confluence of more millennial audience available for online consumption and with a higher spending capacity. So a brand looking at targeting and leveraging upon this makes a huge difference for the market, and could leverage the could be a good leverage for the brand as well. Moving on. Now, again, as I said, India as a market has so many states and so many cities, and it's a massive country in itself. But it is important for the brand to prioritize which particular cities to target on. And end of the day, objective for any brand is to ensure they're reaching the right audience, and the products are as closer to the audience as possible, right? So I think the 5 states which you're seeing on the screen, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Delhi NCR, and Andhra Pradesh, these are literally the 5 states which kind of give up more than 65% of the online e-commerce demand. So as a brand, if you're considering India as an opportunity, these are the 5 cities which should be on your top priority for ensuring the visibility and the inventory is placed. Moving on. A quick snapshot in terms of the social media influence in the country. Now, talking about Instagram, there are, if you look at the numbers, around 26.8% of women are on Insta, and 73.2% are men. And the overall age split, if you see, the weightage is majorly coming from 18 to 24 years old bracket, and 25 to 34 years old. So that is pretty much almost about 75% of the overall Instagram users are between the 18 to 34 years each, and that's a common trend you see across Facebook and Messenger as well. So if you're looking at a TG, let's say between 18 to 34, Instagram and all the social media becomes an important leverage to carry your to communicate your message end of the day, and to build the awareness for the brand. Moving on. As I was talking earlier, again, the amount of data consumption and video being the major. Now, if I jump in a bit more detail, there are almost about 1 out of every 3 Indians are watching online video, right? And again, the split across age groups, if I have to talk about, 73% is 15 to 34, which is also the same audience which are on social media, which we saw earlier. And there are about 27% of the users primarily 35 years old or 35 years and above, right? And the split across the gender as well, it's 59% are male and 41% of female. So pretty much the demography is equally skewed, I would say. And in terms of age, 15 to 34 is dominating the consumption. And one of the major trend which I covered earlier as well is on the localization. If you see, 90% plus of the users are preferring watching content on YouTube and in their Indic languages or their local languages. So having a localization strategy is kind of a very important factor for a brand to be able to stay relevant for a consumer in India. Moving on. Now, again, if you look at the average daily watch time, that's about 67 minutes. So every internet user are looking at a daily average watch time of 67 minutes, right? And if you look at the split across the times, I think pretty much it is equally split across the day. So consumers are present across each day and each time of the day, and could be accessed at any point of time as such. And some of the primary motivations for these users to consume this data, one of it starts with, let's say, pleasure or more to enjoy, or a distress, and that is almost about 56%. There are 20% of the people who watch content for feeling empowered, and 14 purpose supporting a particular purpose or something they believe in, and 11% are just to feel connected with the audience or with the people as such. Moving on. Something I mentioned again, if you see, localization has also kind of made a huge impact on the savings in terms of the cost of acquiring a client, where running ads on localized content is proving to be a better strategy for brands to save up on their cost per acquisition. If you see an ad being run on Hindi, is almost doing about 36% lower cost per acquisition, right? Again, that is kind of giving a much better incremental converts from YouTube as well. So this kind of is primarily giving you an idea in terms of how localization could be used, not just in terms of passing the communication, but also in amplifying the overall message and strategically reducing your costs in the process. Moving on. Now, as I was talking earlier about how buying behavior on online has been changing. Now, today, if you look at it, are you able to see the screen, or should we zoom in a bit? Okay, I think.
Yeah, we are good, Kiran. Go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. So now, if you look at it from a digital touch points, today, majority of the discovery of any new brand is actually happening first on a social media platform, and then moving on to a Google search or a sale period run by any particular marketplace. So as a brand, if you're looking, if you're getting into the market for the first time, your social media strategy has to be super strong in ensuring you're more discoverable by the consumer. And from there on, the buying behavior change moves into, let's say, comparing prices and benefits is also majority happening on social media and then the online platforms. So this kind of gives you an idea in terms of how the overall buying behavior has changed over time, and what role social media and, let's say, other digital platforms are playing in influencing the buying behavior for the consumer. Moving on. Some of the key influencers, especially for Indian consumers when deciding to buy online, if you're a brand coming under essential goods, the most influential 5 parameters which Indian consumer are looking at is: 1, fast delivery; free shipping; easy returns; more discounting or promotional offers; and lowest price for the item among their considerations. Right. And when it comes to less influential, again, we are talking about if it could be on a loyalty reward programs or a non-credit card payments or a popularity on social media, depending on the product type as such, right? Can you move on? Now, if you are a brand falling under soft goods, I think the top 5 influential parameters are easy returns, selection of colors and sizes or variants as such, fast delivery, again, sale and discount or promo, or free shipping. Now, again, the most less influential parameters are your loyalty reward programs or popularity on social media or pictures from or user-generated content as such, right? So this is not something influencing much in the market. Can you move on? Now, if you're someone in a hard goods, again, one of the most influential parameters is about the warranty and after sales support, right? Especially if you're a consumer appliances brand, or anything in hard goods for that matter. Warranty, availability, after sales support, easy returns, fast delivery, sale promoter, discount, and your product specifications and the entire content around it. Now, if you've seen across all the 3 types of categories, some of the most common influential parameters are fast delivery, easy returns, and your overall discounts or promos as such. So as a brand, if you're this kind of has become a mandate expectation from an end consumer in India. So it is very important for a brand to adapt it to the reality and should be able to offer this as a proposition for the end consumer. Moving on. So looking at all these primary insights, I would say, and from our past experiences and our exposure in this particular market, we believe the key pillars for success in India are, an integrated approach of marketplaces, marketing, logistics, and technology. You miss out on any one piece, it's not the best way to drive the success in the country. So having a multi-channel approach in terms of marketplaces, have a multi-channel approach in terms of marketing assets, or be it your marketing channels, and logistically having multiple flexible shipping options, or all of it integrated together is what drives the success for any brand, especially from UK trying to come into a market like India. Moving on. Now, as I said, the key pillars of success earlier. Now, the best way for a brand to, especially from UK, to launch themselves in a country like India, I think these are the four blocks that has to be taken care. Starting with rich content. Again, content is the key in this particular space, right? End of the day, having a rich content about your efficacies or your product propositions or your claims or benefits as such is going to play a major role in your success in India. And then building a strong community. End of the day, your product or your brand has to connect to the Indian audience as such. So you're building a strong community right from the start is going to define and ensure the success is in place for the brand. The third is the overall buying experience. Optimizing the entire buying experience is also going to play a role, be in terms of optimizing on any particular platform, or maybe going direct to consumer. All possible approaches a brand can take to ensure buying experience is rightly placed for the audience in the country. And the overall multi-channel approach on social media, or on direct to consumer, or on let's say your digital platforms as such. Now, key traffic drivers again would be performance marketing. Again, you need to leverage upon the audience present on search engines and social media across, and also, of course, on the marketplaces that are present. The second is influencer marketing. Micro influencers specifically have been a strong driver in terms of traffic brands in the region. So that is leveraging a great success in the region. Social media marketing, again, no point in emphasizing again. I think pretty much covered it. Then coming on to the overall sales leverage, I mean, this is where having a right brand storefront across whichever platform you're launching yourself, and having a rich content, and being able to place your product on various marketplace fulfillment centers and your own fulfillment centers if need be, is going to drive in the sales and push the product as closer to the consumer as possible to ensure the sales are coming in by itself. Moving on. So this is pretty much about what we had as an overall opportunity. Now, this is where I would like to take a bit more time on emphasizing what we do and how we could potentially help you. Again, as Scale Global, as Imtiaz has mentioned, we are a global e-commerce enabler. We are primarily helping the brands to explore international markets, and that's where our solutions are built. Can you go to the next slide? Now, our solutions are primarily built under four pillars. One is e-commerce, supply chain, brand marketing, and the technology. Now, end of the day, our entire solutions are built around helping the brand to discover and fulfill consumers across channels and across borders. Moving on. Yes. So as I said, we as an enabler, we help the brands with the end-to-end value chain. Now, our entire ecosystem is built under three arms, which is let's say Scale Flexi, which is our supply chain arm, where all of our logistics, fulfillment, and distribution across markets is being taken care by the for the brand, where the brand is not physically present and would want to leverage on a shared ecosystem. Moving, the second arm is our Scale Commerce. This is where our commerce solutions or the brand management solutions come into picture, where right from building the brand narrative, building the strategy, and executing the strategy in the region, in end of the day, to help you discover more consumers, is where Scale Commerce comes into picture. And the third is Scale Studio. This is all about our localization and building more customized tech solutions for the brand to access the consumers much faster and much seamless. So combined integrated experience of all the three arms is what Scale Global is, and that's how we deliver an integrated ecosystem and much robust expertise for the brand to succeed in the region. Moving on. As you've already seen, all of our solutions are primarily addressing shopper, brand, and a retailer. We consider ourselves as an intersection point between all the three arms, and that is where our entire solutions are being deployed and helping the brand and shopper and retailer intersect at whichever platform possible we got. Moving forward. So today, as Scale Global, we have our presence across Asia Pacific, Middle East, and Africa. We have our own infrastructure and the partnership needed for a brand to succeed in these regions. Now, our entire ecosystem is built around a flow where we act as an extended arm or an extended team for the brand, and help the brand launch themselves in respective markets, accessing our fulfillment networks and accessing all the platforms, be it the Amazons or ClickOnCare or all such platforms which are specifically targeting a particular region in a particular market. Right, and also that's where our D2C focus also comes in, where if you're a brand, you're looking at reaching the end consumer and having a much customized proposition that you would want to offer to the end consumer. Even the D2C platform, everything could be catered under one roof. So that's how our partnership model works, where we take care of the end-to-end value chain and gives the brand a much better focus and control on the overall experience. Moving on. This is our current reach in terms of our markets and in terms of our key marketplaces that we work with. A quick snapshot, again, Middle East, Asia Pacific, and Africa being our three regions of focus. Asia Pacific, to be specific for the context right now, India is our primary market where we are present and where we have our partnerships across the region. And again, in terms of marketplaces, we have your Amazon, Flipkarts, Mintras. Again, these are all your general marketplaces and a pure player marketplaces specific to a particular category. All of them under one roof, so that a brand doesn't have to worry about a particular market and can maximize their distribution across as many channels as possible for the brand, right? And again, the other markets, Middle East and Africa, again, UKIBC are primary markets in those regions. Africa, Nigeria and South Africa are primary markets in Africa. And we've built a similar ecosystem across all the regions, helping the brand to launch themselves. Moving on. Again, at the moment, from our capabilities and reach perspective, today we've got about 50 plus fulfillment centers across the globe, 10 plus countries presence, and 45 plus marketplaces integrated with us at the moment. And some of our key strategic partners, again, UKIBC, which is the primary reason why we are here today, and Maersk primarily being our global supply chain partner across regions. So this kind of helps us manage the logistics and supply chain right from the origin to the end consumer in a much more seamless way. And in terms of marketplaces, this is a quick snapshot of various marketplaces that we are working with. Again, you have marketplaces across various regions under our ecosystem as such. Moving on. So our current partnership model, which I was talking earlier about, we choose partner brands as much as possible, primarily with a lot of data-driven approach, looking at the overall consumer insights or at the category insights, and pick the right brand and pick the right markets for them. Our process flow usually is about holding the inventory in whichever market feasible for the brand in our ecosystem. From there, selling it onto the marketplaces or platforms. We manage the fulfillment for the brands, and throughout the process, brands have a profitable growth and more control on the overall ecosystem. And we launch in one market and then scale into other markets. So it's that's how our process flow looks like for any particular market. Moving on. So this is our overall turnkey solution that we talk about, where a pool of talent from our marketing teams to operations team, everything come under one roof for each brand, and that's where and these teams work on giving a 360-degree solution for a brand, right from incorporation of compliances to actually building up the strategy, bringing the communication strategy, distribution in place, running the operations across channels, and then actually managing the overall insights and analytics around it. So it's a 360-degree what a e-com manager usually deals in a particular brand office, which we are, we are being that extended arm and helping the brand manage the scene in international markets. Moving on. So I think I am done. So I hope I've been able to give you a much detailed view about us. I have our mail IDs and contact details on the screen. Otherwise, UKIBC is always there. You could reach out to them and let us know if there is something that we could help you with.
Thank you, Kiran and Imtiaz. That was another excellent presentation. And now, last but not least, I would like to hand over to my brilliant colleague, Associate Director Subhayu Ray. He's going to provide some information about UKIBC's India e-commerce solution. Just as background, Ray has over 20 years of business consultancy experience and has worked across a wide spectrum of sectors in India, the UK, and Africa. He offers a unique blend of commercial acumen and entrepreneurial skills in understanding opportunities and challenges in developing business with established and tertiary brands in diverse market scenarios. So Ray, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Daxa, for a brilliant introduction. Almost felt like a rock star there. And thanks to Niharika, Imtiaz, and Kiran for a brilliant presentation, brilliant insights. Thank you very much. So yes, I'm Subhayu Ray. I'm the Associate Director of UK India Business Council. And in the next few minutes, I'm gonna explain to you about a little bit in detail about the UKIBC's India e-commerce program that we're running in collaboration with the Department of International Trade and the support that are available to British brands under this program. So onto my first slide. Well, just to set the context, UKIBC have been supporting the DIT's India strategy in retail, including e-commerce and food and drink since the last 3 years. And we are committed to supporting brands, British brands in India across all channels of distribution, whether it's offline and online. But today we'll only talk about e-commerce, where you can see that our partners has the capability to launch across multiple online channels, whether it's the B2C platforms like Amazon and Flipkart, or B2B wholesale online channels, or increasingly important D2C or direct to consumers channels, whether it sells through your own website or websites embedded in the likes of Shopify's, or through relevant social media channels like Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. And we take a brand through a structured process of onboarding into the e-commerce space, starting with the initial diagnostic with UKIBC, whereby we try to understand a bit more about the business, their products, their value positioning, the distribution milestones that they have achieved in the UK and internationally, their e-commerce experience, their experience in working with the platforms, and obviously, and then the digital assets available, and obviously their India ambition across multiple channels of distribution. Now, based on that, we offer a tailored support solution to the brand. It could be, which could be e-commerce only in a digital first entry strategy, or it could be an omni-channel solution. And then upon mutual consent, we make further referrals down the supply chain to our partners. You've met them just now, for the brands to undergo a strategy and commercial and compliance assessment. Now, I'll talk about it in a bit more detail in my subsequent slides. And then our partners and UKIBC will provide the brand with a 360-degree operational support, which leads to their launch in the India e-commerce space. Now, UKIBC's responsibility is the overall management and supervision of the e-commerce onboarding, liaising with multiple partners. It could be the platforms themselves, our integrator partners here in the UK and in India, sometimes the logistics partners, and Department of International Trade. And UKIBC also provides a range of support to the brands interested in pursuing the bricks and mortar opportunities in India. However, that would be outside the scope of the e-commerce program. Next slide, please, Emma. Thank you very much. And this slide gives you a snapshot of the value chain in the e-commerce program. As I've mentioned, the UK branch first interacts with the UKIBC in a business diagnostic, and then we make further referral to a UK integrated partner, which is in this case Scale Global UK Limited, led by Howard Parker, and Howard is present in the webinar, and I'm going to make a quick introduction after my presentation. And then the UK integrated partner supports the brand in the commercial assessment I just explained, and then ship the goods to India in coordination with the logistics partners. And we work with some of the best logistic partners there is, including Maersk Damco, Drac Logistics, WTA. So when the goods are shipped to India and their customs cleared, that's where the India integrator and remittance partner takes over. In this case, it is Scale Global India Limited. Kiran and Imtiaz have spoken before me. The India integrated partner then ensures the inland haulage, the warehousing, the last mile delivery of the products, and manage the entire technicalities of onboarding into multiple e-commerce channels as depicted in the diagram. They also take the responsibility of running promotions on the platforms and repatriating funds back to the UK, the net funds back to the UK. You can use this supply chain for your fulfillment purposes in bricks and mortar as well, if you please. And out of the many responsibilities that UKIBC perform, I'll touch upon just one point, which is engaging with the platforms on a regular basis on the strategic matters. I work very closely with the Amazon team and the ClickOnCare team. All of these platforms or online stores have got their category priorities. Some of them wants to fill in certain gaps in their categories, others would want to grow certain categories. So based on those priorities, we undertake search for brands here in the UK. But one thing is for sure, all of the platforms are looking for interesting, innovative products, which has got a great chance of selling well in India. On to the next slide, please. Right, based on our conversation with hundreds of bridge businesses over the last couple of years, we know there are certain key questions that they need answering when considering India expansion, and I have slotted them in 5 different buckets, not suggesting that is an exhaustive list, but these are the key questions they would want answers to when making decisions for international expansion. I'm going to only touch upon the top 2 because of the time constraint. First of all, a business would need some market intel or opportunity mapping. They would want to understand what's the size of the addressable market, and more importantly, how effectively they can, how big is the serviceable market, and who are and based on their product positioning, value positioning, who are the target customers, what are the target regions and cities where their category are bought online more than the others, so that the stocks can be located near those cities to ensure quicker fulfillment. How does the competition look like, for the like-for-like brands? What are the applicable duties and taxes? All of this market intelligence would be provided to you by UKIBC and the partners. Under the commercial feasibility assessment, you would want to know how quickly you can enter the market and how quickly you can scale. Our partners have got the ability to launch you in India e-commerce within 6 to 10 weeks, provided there are no other regulatory compliances to sort. Like, for example, if you're a beauty and cosmetics company, Niharika has spoken before me, you would need to register your products with CDSCO. Or if you're a electronics or white goods company, you need to have a BIS registration, which might take up to 3 months to sort out. And in terms of scalability, you just by listing with the likes of ClickOnCare, Amazon, and Flipkart, your brand will have an instant exposure to 90+% of India's postcode. So that's the kind of distribution reach you're going to achieve by listing with just these 3 platforms, right? So it's an instant scalability. You would want to know where your partners. You've already met 3, and I'm going to introduce Scale Global UK to you in a minute. You would want to know what products and to target the market with. What would be the pricing strategy? Our partners and also the platforms will guide you by providing you with some pricing sweet spots. You have the full right though to sell above it, below it, or hit the sweet spot, because it will have implications on volumes. You would want to know your investments on consignment stock and marketing, and your other cost commitments like in logistics, duties, or the margins you're going to share along the supply chain, and the expected margins at different price points for you to play out and see what is the acceptable margin for you. and your, the pot of money you need to start the business at month 0. And last but not the least, your projected revenues and margins for the next 3 years. Now, the commercial assessment will throw up these numbers at you, which is by no means cast in stone, as you would understand that there are a lot of commercial variables in play when arriving at this number, but we hope it will give you sufficient information in order to enable you to make an informed decision as to whether this opportunity is right for you or not. Now, in terms of the regulatory compliances, I'll touch on 2 points. Firstly, our partners are willing to act as your authorized importer or importer on record if you want to represent your brand legally and commercially in India. And the UK IP office, through its attaché based out of British High Commission in Delhi, would guide you on what level of IP protection you need in India and how do you go about it, right? And in terms of the marketing support, the good news is that there are some complimentary marketing support available from the platforms for the first 6 months of the launch, but they recommend that you top that up with your own marketing plan. And that's what our partner is going to deliver to you, a tailored marketing package, not only on the platforms, but across social media, to drive brand awareness and recognition quickly, to build your brand online in India. And Kiran had just mentioned the importance of it. So on to my last slide now. Right, at every step of this program, we have tried to minimize risk for the British brands. To start with, firstly, the brands have a full control on the volume of stock on consignment. At the same time, achieve the brand visibility and scalability nationally, right? So you can start off with a small trial promotion, maybe play around with the prices and the promotion and see how much traction you receive, and then plan for a bigger consignment, right? Once you know what's selling and what's not selling. And then as you retain the ownership of the stock right till the end, when a consumer actually buys a product in one of those platforms in India, you also retain the control on the pricing and promotion. Our partners and platforms can only suggest you, but it's your final decision on pricing and promotion. And we will launch you in multiple e-commerce platforms from the same pot of stock, which means your risk is getting shared across multiple channels, and that's going to sort of help your would be great for a quick stock turnover, and that's going to help your cash flow situation as well. Now, majority of the investment costs under this program are directly proportional to the volume ambitions. So there is no upfront major cost to join the program. There would be some initial setup cost though, right, depending on various factors like what kind of digital asset you've got, which can be the content of which can be localized to the Indian market. But there is no major upfront cost to join this program. And of course, there is robustness and certainty in the process. You know exactly who are your partners and what are their responsibilities at each step of the process, which is being set up, overseen by UKIBC. And you have an UK-based account management team led by Howard Parker, so that you don't have to liaise with someone sitting 6,000 miles away or 4.5 hours ahead of you. And the commercial feasibility assessment help you to make an informed decision about whether this opportunity is right for you, as I've said, before you even signed up for the program. And last but not least, and the most important point, there is certainty and clarity on the repatriation of net funds. Now, the same partners you'll be liaising with day in and day out in operational and the commercial matters, they are the partners who will take the responsibility to repatriate funds back to you. Now, in the end, all I'm going to say that this program have been developed to enable you to launch and market test your product in India in a much more controlled fashion and with lesser risk exposure. And I'm happy to have a one-to-one chat with any interested business. So please don't forget to write to me at the email address provided in the next slide, Emma. It's subhayu.ray@ukibc.com, and I look forward to receiving your emails and catching up on calls. So before I end, I would like to say a big thank you to everyone for listening, and I would also quickly introduce our UK integrator partner, Howard Parker from Scale Global. Howard, could you come on screen and say a big hi to everyone, please?
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Very briefly, because there's still things to move on to. We at Scale Global UK are the team that walk the brands through the whole process, supporting UKIBC, obviously supporting our partners in India and the development of the opportunity as it goes along. we offer, as we said, a 360-degree support, and we're available to see you at any time. We are in real time connected to you, and we will drive this forward, but we will make all areas of the potential opportunity clear, so ultimately you will make that final decision based upon detailed knowledge of what the market opportunities are. So that really is just my brief introduction, and obviously I'm absolutely available at any time for anybody to pick up the phone and contact me. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. You'll see more of Howard and I once you start talking to us. But thank you very much to everyone for listening. Daxa, over to you, please.
Thanks so much, Ray. And again, thank you to all of our panelists today for some really insightful presentations. I know we are running over a little bit on time, so I think we could maybe do a couple of questions. If anyone has any other comments or questions for any of the panelists, do send them across. And if we can't address them today, we will pick them up offline. So Ray, if I just hand over to you to pick up maybe a couple of questions.
Yeah. One of the questions, I think this one is for Niharika. Niharika, can you explain what sort of, many brands present in this call would be interested to know what kind of complementary marketing support you're going to offer to the British brands launching on your platform or in your online stores? To be corrected, you're not a platform. You've told me that.
Awesome. Thanks, Ray. So we are always happy to provide our insight, on the brand, the type of brand that's coming on board, what kind of target audience would work for them, and all of those details will be provided to them. If there is a strategic tie-up, we will patch them to our back team. As I mentioned, it's the brand amplification team that has the heads of all the departments: operations, warehousing, supply chain, and it's headed by our CEO, Akshat Malik. So all of those insights come in and help the brand to understand what would work for them and what would not work for them, and that ultimately leads to a better ROS for their SKUs that they list with us. So I hope that helps.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Niharika. Yeah. My next question is to Kiran and Imtiaz. Kiran, we've talked about the commercial assessment. I've mentioned that over my presentation. Can you just let our audience know what sort of tool do you use when doing that commercial assessment, which enables the brand to make an informed decision on this opportunity? How do you support it? Very quickly, yeah.
So yeah, on that front, I think end of the day, at this point of time, we have built our own proprietary tools that help the brand to identify all the costs factored in that entire value chain, right from pick up from the origin to the actual sales being done in the country, which includes your cost of imports, your trade marketing expenses, everything in one place. That tool kind of helps the brand to understand the feasibility from a commercial P&L standpoint, if it's making sense, and that's spread across a 3-year timeline. So for a brand, it gets a clear visibility in terms of how and when they could actually make the best output from the opportunity. So that's a commercial calculator tools that we built in.
Fantastic. Brilliant. Maybe one last question to all the panelists is that the pandemic that has taken place. Niharika has shown the times that the pandemic hit. In terms of the uptick in e-commerce, what changes have you seen? I mean, have you seen an increased uptake in e-commerce directly as a result of lockdown and the restriction on mobility, compared to the previous normal years? That's the last question I'm going to ask to all the panelists. Your views, please.
All right. I'll just quickly, I had this number on my mind, which I didn't cover in the presentation deck. So, in 2020, the last quarter of 2020, which is where we were recovering, we personally saw 36% growth rate in, the personal care and healthcare segment. That, of course, was because people were under lockdown and they had moved, to the e-commerce fulfillment model where they were ordering stuff online. So there was a good spike, and we continue seeing that spike right now as well.
Right. And Kiran, do you think that this trend set to continue? The new consumers that have entered into e-com space as a result of this pandemic, do you think that this they will remain with e-commerce going forward? Obviously, when we emerge from the lockdown, people will go back to the shops. But do you think this increased uptake is set to continue?
Yes. So from what we've seen, the entire buying behavior between the metro cities, people have already been on e-com, but they have started increasing the consumption with lockdowns again. When it comes to the new segment of audience, which is let's say tier 3, tier 4, for them e-com is kind of giving them much bigger access to more and more products, more and more assortment, which was not there. E-com kind of the pandemic kind of forced them to get onto the wave, and now I think they're going to stick on, and it's actually going to get much better. So let's see how e-com is going to shape up.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Daxa. I think that's all we have time for. We've gone 15 minutes over. Daxa, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ray. And again, thank you to all our panelists for sharing your incredible presentations with us, a lot of information to digest. And thank you to all of our audience and viewers who joined us today. We will share a copy of the recording and summary with everyone who has joined. And again, if you have any questions that we can take up offline, please do send across. But for now, have a great day and thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.